This is the Rajdhani channel of All India Radio Delhi, broadcasting on medium wave 450.5 meters, corresponding to 666 kilohertz. Welcome to the evening transmission, Sanj Thale. We begin the transmission with comments from the press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Asian Age in its editorial title, India Must Tell Us Why Valley Strictly Bilateral, says Washington's newfound enthusiasm to step into South Asian quagmire has the potential to cause long-term damage, not just to India-US relations, but affect India's standing in its own backyard as the Trump administration goes back to pandering to urge rival Pakistan. In offering to mediate not once but twice on Kashmir, a dispute that has defied resolution for half a century, US President Donald Trump has been blindsided into believing that he has a reliable comrade in arms in Pakistan that is under the personable cricketer turned politician Prime Minister Imran Khan, when to all intents and purposes it is still the powerful Pakistan military that calls the shots. For the second time in as many weeks, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's rebuff, this time directly to the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo at the ASEAN regional meet in Bangkok, has fallen on deaf ears. The message that India does not take kindly to meddling in what it considers its internal affairs must reach the current resident of the White House. It must spell out that there is no room for third-party involvement. Washington must firmly disabuse of the line and the lie that Pakistan has long peddled, that it is the unresolved Kashmir dispute that has a direct bearing on the instability in Afghanistan, where thousands of US troops are still deployed, and that if the Kashmir border were quiet, Afghanistan would require no policing. The Asian Age in its editorial title, That Sinking Feeling, writes, the perception of the economy heading south at a faster rate than anticipated by the government has now been broadcast not by its critics but by leading members of the business and industry. Last Friday, HDFC Bank Chairman Deepak Parekh spoke of a distinct slowdown. The day prior, L&T Chairman A.M. Naik went public with his concerns about the economy. Prominent business folk are increasingly going public with their concerns. Clearly, they have been driven to despair. Official figures released last week show 8 core sectors grew in June at a mere 0.2%, the lowest in about 5 years. This means products like cement, steel, electricity, minerals are not being produced in enough quantities or are not selling if produced. The automobile sector is in doldrums. Even FMCG items like soap and toothpaste sales have slipped. Real estate purchases, particularly the housing market, has slowed. Companies' profits are down in the economy as a whole. This has hit the stock market and mutual funds, which have in recent decades attracted millions of middle-class Indians. The Statesman, in its editorial title Setback at Threshold, says it might be redundant to labour the obvious that Britain's Conservative Party, albeit down but not out, has been defeated. The by-election in the Welsh farming seat of Brecon and Rednashire would normally not have been of much moment. It is a convincing triumph at this juncture of the pro-Remain Lib Dems that must be the pregnant message of the vote. With the parliamentary majority of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's party reduced to 1 in the Commons, effecting Brexit by 31st October will doubtless be an uphill task. The setback that the new resident of 10 Downing Street has suffered at the threshold is not merely a setback to Brexit, it will come to bear on governance in the wider canvas. The relatively narrow 1,425 vote loss to the Liberal Democrats can still give the new Prime Minister hope if his administration can leave the EU by 31st October. Those who are looking forward to a Conservative bounce back after Mr. Johnson's elevation to Downing Street might be a little astonished at the figures. The party's share of the vote was down by 9.6 percentage points in the seat at 39%, although it was markedly better than its result in Peterborough in early June, when at an early phase of the party's leadership contest, the Tory vote slumped 29 points and the Labour held the seat when the Leave vote was split. The simple fact of the matter is that the Tories lost in a marginal seat held by the ruling party in 2015 and 2017, and the Brexit party's 10.5% shows that the new Prime Minister remains in a state of nerves at any rate until Brexit is concluded. The Lib Dems underline the increasingly healthy revival, gaining 14.3 points to reach 43.5% and regaining a constituency the party held in 4 consecutive elections from 1997. Ultimately, a narrow majority of 50.3% of the vote went to unambiguously pro-Brexit parties and a seat that voted 51.9% for Leave in the 2016 EU referendum. The Conservatives know they have a chance to unite that vote if they can credibly leave the EU at the end of October. The Brecon result shows that failure to do so would almost certainly lead to the party being defeated at Westminster if an election were to be held or forced to Mr. Johnson shortly after failure to leave the EU or a Brexit that is far from convincing. It will not be easy for the Prime Minister to recover from the electoral setback. The Lib Dems reaffirmed on Friday that they want to preserve Britain's 4-decade membership of the European Union. 3 months before Brexit is scheduled to materialise, an iffy prospect, the distressing signal must be that 650-seat House of Commons is today highly fractured along party lines. The ruling party's majority